Red Sox reporting for duty once again. The sunrise here in Southwest Florida. Early days, not only in the season, but early days for the players on this team as they are up at the crack of dawn here, getting in their early workouts. We're here covering it all for you. How about this veteran leadership as Trevor Story and Alex Bregman walk in to the stadium together, arriving for work earlier this morning and getting ready for the first game now, just 48 hours away. Rafael Devers putting in his work. He'll be a little behind as he comes back from that shoulder and might not be in the middle of the lineup on day one, but still in the middle of the conversation for Red Sox Nation. We welcome you to 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers, Tom Caron and Lou Merlone with you. We've moved into the stadium today here in JetBlue Park because for one reason, we're going to have baseball here at JetBlue Park. Less than 48 hours now until we're here getting ready for the Red Sox and Northeastern University. Always fun to get that first game action in.
And we had to give the outfielders some love. I feel like we've been all over the infielders. Now, listen, as a former infielder, those are the real athletes. But these guys out here, everyone keeps asking, what does this guy look like? What does this guy? I'm like, well, I haven't really watched like Roman or Jarren Duran or Rafael or Abreu a lot. Yoshida out here working too, so it's nice to come out here and take a peek.
Yeah, the outfield behind us, as you can see right now, getting in some running work as they work on that, but then we're going to get them in the outfield playing some defense as well. We're going to dig into that outfield today because for all the talk about the defensive struggles of this team, it wasn't in the outfield. This is one of the best defensive outfields in baseball last year.
And it'll only get better. You know, with a guy like Rafaela out there, we think, for the most part, a lot. And I think we don't give him enough credit for bouncing from shortstop to center field, two of the toughest defensive positions in the big leagues, as a rookie, playing all the time. We always talk about how much Jarren Duran did. Rafael was out there almost just as much. And I think being out at center field, not worrying about going into shortstop and be able to just work at center, you are going to see a Gold Glove finalist and maybe even the winner.
60 or more games at the two most important positions in baseball, shortstop and center field. That's very, very rare.
Yeah, it is. And to go with on the left side of him out in right field will be Wilyer Abreu, who won the Gold Glove as a rookie, and honestly, it wasn't even close. And then Jarren Duran, another guy that had one of the best defensive runs saved of all the outfielders. Lost it out to Varsho, but still, it's like another Gold Glove caliber. The defense in the outfield is going to be spectacular, and then we'll see what happens.
And you got Roman Anthony pushing his way into that conversation as well, the best prospect in baseball. You talk about Rafaela. They expect him to be in center field. We found out yesterday Triston Casas must expect him to be in center field because he says Alex Bregman is the second baseman of this team. A day after Rafael Devers made it clear he wants to be the third baseman of this team, the first baseman of the Red Sox, Triston Casas, weighed in on who should play where. He joined us on Red Sox from Fort Myers. Always interesting to listen to Triston Casas.
Yeah, it was a great offseason, packed, to the bit with a lot of activities. But, man, I got after it, was able to stay healthy the whole time, which is the important thing, no setbacks, and just hit the weight room hard. A lot of swings in the cage, was trying to make up for some lost time. Didn't really take a lot of time off in between the season and when I started up really hitting. I think hitting, a lot of guys take until about December, January to start really ramping up. I was starting to hit in October already. So the swing's feeling perfect. The body's feeling good as well. So hopefully I can ride this out as long as possible and hopefully into October.
Well, we saw your rookie year, obviously the potential, right? What can be. I was saying before, like talking about numbers for Triston Casas, and I say the most important one is games played, right? Because if games played, you put the numbers up there on that stat, we know what those numbers are going to be. How much of a focus has that been for you?
I think my decision making is great. I think I'm going to make the adjustments necessary to succeed, and yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, Lou. I think it's just going to be how many games I play. I think once I get into a groove, you hit that 300 at bat mark, and the weather starts to heat up, and the pitchers start to get tired. The pendulum starts to swing. So I just need to be around for that time. Last year, I caught two of the toughest months, to play baseball in, April and September. We were coming down to the crunch of it. We smelt that playoff berth, and I was thrown right into the fire, and it was a lot of pressure. So, hopefully I get a full spring training under my belt to get some confidence back and hit the ground running right when March 27th starts.
Haven't made the playoffs since 21, obviously. They go out and add top-of-the-line pitching. Alex Bregman comes in right before camp. What's it feel like in this clubhouse? Does it feel different? Does it feel like the expectations have been ratcheted up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think before the signing of Bregman, it was, all right, let's go see if we can compete for a playoff spot. The roster looks great right now. We got a whole new rotation. Hopefully Giolito joins us soon. But, you bring in Bregman, and it's almost like, all right, let's win the pennant, almost. I mean, I've never been to that point, to your mention. I don't know what it takes, but there's guys in here who do know what it takes, and they suggest the same thing, so I can only believe the same. But, I love the roster we got, and it's going to be exciting. We're going to throw it, we're going to pick it, and we're going to hit it. I mean, those are the three things that you need to do to win a ball game, and I think we're going to score more runs than the other team more times than not. So I like our chances.
A lot of talk last year, too, with the way the lineup was constructed, going up against left-handed pitchers. Cora today said that he's going to challenge you and put you out there. You, Duran, Rafi, probably every single day. You start off today facing Crochet and Aroldis Chapman in live BP. Is that a good start to kind of figure out your approach to lefties?
It's an absolute blessing to have those guys on our team, I'll say. Garrett, threw some of the nastiest pitches I had seen. I wasn't sure if it was because I hadn't had an at-bat in 5 months, and Wong was like, no, he's that good.
Yeah.
And Chapman, it was just easy bullpen today for him, sitting 95, 97, really great. The slider looked awesome. So to get those at-bats, especially this time in the year, really just setting my eyes up for success. I think seeing that type of velocity, seeing that extension, that movement, because they're coming at you with arms and legs, elbows, downhill really fast. So they're going to be fun to watch. Hopefully, a lot of weak contacts induced my way, but it's going to be fun facing those guys for the next couple of days and having them on my team.
We mentioned Bregman. He's going to make this team better defensively wherever he is. And we don't know where that'll be. Could be second, could be third. We heard Rafael Devers yesterday say, I want to be at third base. That's my position. What was your reaction when you heard that?
I completely agreed with him. I think that he's the third baseman of this franchise for the time, a long time to come. And I don't know if there's a third baseman in the league that I would take over him. And his defense is constantly getting better every single year. That was the knock when I came up, that he was bad defensively. And then I see him come and make some barehanded plays, pick it in the bag, diving all over, rolling bodies, throwing from his butt. I mean, he's just all over the place. And, he'll boot a routine play. And I think that's why he gets docked so heavily. But he plays hard, and he really sets the tone out there at third base. And I want him on that position this year and for the next 10 as well. We'll see how the legs hold up, if the bat's elite enough to. But man, I think for this year, I think it makes the most sense.
So this offseason, your name came up. I don't know how many you pay attention. I know we talked at FanFest too, in trade rumors, and now it's done, right? You hear it's spring training is starting. Not that you're surprised that you hear it, but are you glad that that's over? Hearing your name out there.
Yeah, I'm glad it's over. I've called this home for a really long time now. Hopefully for a longer time to come. But I don't fault anybody for throwing my name out there or trying to bolster this roster in any way, shape, and form. That's the front office's commitment to us as players, is to do everything in their power from an information standpoint, from a nutritional standpoint, from a facility standpoint. I mean, they really set a great example. They set the tone that winning is expected here, and however, by any means necessary.
We've seen the Netflix trailer. We know it comes out in April. And we know that you are absolutely beating yourself up after an at-bat in that trailer. Are you always that rough on yourself?
Yeah.
When you see 90 and roll over?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those pick your battle kind of things. I don't remember. I haven't watched the clip, just so you know. Okay. I don't know exactly what was said. My grandma let me know that she didn't appreciate it.
It's not safe for work, I'll tell you that much.
She let me know that she didn't appreciate my language. But I mean, I'm tough on myself for sure. I expect a lot out of myself. I'd say to the point of perfection. It's not going to happen. This is, the most difficult thing in baseball or in sports is to hit a baseball. So I got to have some grace with myself. But internally, that's how I fire myself up, though. That's how I keep myself accountable. Just constantly bantering with myself and trying to bring myself and reach new heights. Never satisfied, and I do the same thing even when I get hits, though. They got to post that as well. I mean, sometimes I'll roll a ball over into the 3-4 hole that'll scoot through, and then I'm mad still. So it's not the result, it's just how I went about the process of getting, whatever the outcome was. It's not a negative or a positive, it's just whether I failed with the right intention or succeeded with the right intention or not. I'm just shooting for perfection.
I got to ask you before we go. Last year, this time, we talked about a potential extension. Some tires had been kicked after the injury. Has there been any talk yet at this point?
No talks after the injury. It's going to take a full season of numbers, to get those talks going again.
Post those numbers. The talks will come. Good stuff. We appreciate it, as always.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
All right. That's Triston Casas yesterday on Red Sox and Fort Myers. Of course, that rib injury kept him out for most of the season. We have seen the power tied for the third most home runs after 215 games in Red Sox history. Only Tony Canigliaro and Ted Williams had more homers at that point. He's got to prove he can stay on the field.
Yeah.
There's going to be competition throughout this team with the bumper crop of young players coming up. Now, listen to what Casas had to say yesterday when he spoke to the media about those young prospects knocking on the door of the big league club.
Yeah, I love his aggressiveness at the plate. I haven't got to see him live yet. I didn't get to catch him on my rehab assignment. He came up and took my number 36 when I went back up. I guess that was why he hit so well. But I think what I love most about him is his takes. He's in a yes, yes, yes mindset every single time. Yeah, he talks about hitting the ball hard in the air, whatever. But I think his swing decisions is what separates him, or is going to. Just in the quick glimpse of live at bats from the last couple of days, feels like he's in a killer mindset every single time he steps in, and that's what it's going to take at the next level. Because I felt like when I first got called up, I had imagined that they were going to attack me, and then I was going to scare them out of the zone. But they had, the pitchers are having stuff move so late now that they were just starting in middle, and I was chasing off. So that's going to be the battle that he faces, is just understanding what pitches he can handle. And it's almost like if it starts as a strike, it's probably a ball, and if it starts as a ball, it's almost a strike nowadays with the way it's moving. So I think he's going to have his hands full just with how aggressive his swing is, but that's also going to work in his advantage just because of the type of player and how his mindset works.
Obviously talking about Khristian Campbell there, but the comment yesterday that he made that we didn't just show, but he talked about the young guys, Marcelo Mayer, Roman Anthony, Khristian Campbell, said they should all be in Worcester, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, I love our roster the way it is without those guys. If you're Alex Cora and you've got Triston Casas talking about who's the third baseman, who's the second baseman, where should these prospects be, does he have to have a conversation with this guy? Can these comments kind of become bigger than they need to be for a team in spring training, or is this just a player saying what he says and you move on?
No, I think you got to have a talk with him. And it's not like one of these, hey, come in my office, close the door. It's like even just out staring in the field. And by the way, we'll make those decisions. And people, listen, he's going to speak his mind. But it was such a canned response. It should have been, right? When you start talking about where should Devers play, where should Bregman play, should the kids be up in the big leagues, it's simple. It's above my pay grade. I'm here. I'm just going to try to get myself ready to play the game. The Alex Cora, the front office, they'll make all those sort of decisions. But when you come out and say, yes, Rafi should be at third, which means, yes, I want Bregman at second. And by the way, the kids, should they be up here? No, they shouldn't. And the funny thing is that he's rooming with Vaughn Grissom. So when he comes out and says Bregman should be at second, he's basically demoting his roommate. So I don't know what dinner was like last night, but it probably could have got interesting.
Casas may have been buying dinner last night. I don't think so. Thought about that. Might have been talking about the conversations that had to be had. Listen, we joke about it, but this is just, to me, another indication that the Red Sox are back. This is what the Red Sox have always been. Good players, quotes being taken out of context, quotes in context being reacted upon. There's a lot to talk about. Alex Cora walking by a little while ago goes, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
This is entertaining for fans.
This is old school when Manny Ramirez would leave camp or be late because his grandmother passed. Well, the fifth time his grandmother passed, people started asking questions. How many grandmothers do you have, right? So this is when you know you're back, right? There's plenty of storylines, not just on the field, but then, of course, you get some comments, and you like honesty. you're getting it.
There's no doubt about it. Like, again, and the writers talk to Casas a lot, and if I'm a beat writer, I'm going to Casas every day because he's going to say something that is going to make a story for you.
Yeah, 100%. It's just a quick reminder, and I think even afterwards, he's like, well, I'm just saying what I think, and I think it's his way he thinks of defending his teammate, a guy like Rafael Devers, right, who, I know people get all over Rafi and his defense. He did get better last year. He did. That was a bad defensive team. It wasn't because of Rafael Devers. Now, we know the range is what it is, right? He doesn't get the balls. That's the problem. But 12 errors is a career low for him. As Cora said yesterday, 4 of those errors came on that shift when he's playing shortstop against lefties. When we start thinking about 12 errors, Bregman made 10. He won the Gold Glove, but again, it's a range factor, and there's a big difference.
All right, you're looking at outfield while we talk infield, so let's take a break and come back and talk about that outfield. Dwight Evans can teach you a thing or two out there, no doubt about that. Jim Rice here in camp as well. We're turning our attention to the Red Sox outfield, which was really good defensively last year. Can it get even better? We'll discuss. As 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers, continues after this. Talking about the outfield today, so here's Hall of Famer Jim Rice. Spent so many years in left field at Fenway Park. He is here in camp as the Red Sox get ready for their first Grapefruit League games this weekend. Another guy who could be back in the outfield this year is Masataka Yoshida, getting ready for his 3rd year with the Red Sox. Remember, 2 years ago, spent most of the season in left field. Last year, he was a DH, full stop. Now that role could be changing. He's coming back from surgery to repair an injured labrum. But yesterday he was asked about playing the outfield versus DH and what he'll be asked to do for the coming season.
Like I said, it's out of my control, right? My job is to, give it all my best to, whatever my job calls for. And so if it is to DH or if it is to play in outfield, I'm just giving my best. And, I'm still here, on this team. So I'm just giving everything I got for this team.
Mas is going to be part of the picture, yeah. I mean, we just got to get him going. Like I said, last year, he was a DH. This year, we need him to play defense. It's a different season.
And so when you look at, health-wise,
I think you are.
Still the most important thing.
Yeah, he started playing catch yesterday. So it's a long process. It was a big surgery, and he's swinging. He's swinging right now, and he knows that we need him to play defense.
Yoshida out there with the outfielders in left field, which is where you expect him to see him if he's going to play in the outfield. Last year, in part because of the shoulder, in part because they had a really good outfield, he never played in the outfield. He was the DH. This year, now, even though Rafael Devers says no when you ask him if he's going to be the DH, you may have to move some different guys through the DH spot, which means if Yoshida's going to be in the lineup, he's got to be in the outfield at times. And you and I agree, he should be in the lineup. This guy can still hit.
Yeah, a lot of people get on Yoshida. He's a good hitter. This guy's a 285 hitter. A couple years trying to adjust to American League, Major League Baseball. A lot of people here, listen, they're still big fans of him. They do believe that injury kind of happened his first year. Right. And we haven't really seen what he can be healthy. So he factors into this whole thing, Devers going to DH and maybe keeping Bregman to keep Yoshida's bat in the lineup as a DH, but he'll play some left field. Like, I can see him out in left field. You're on the road. Here's the at-bat in the 8th inning. Tap on the butt. Thanks a lot. Rafi, you go to center field. Duran, you go over to left field and put Rafaela in center for a defensive replacement because they're going to want to get him at bats.
A team that struck out the second most times in the American League as a team. This guy does not strike out. In fact, I love the stat. With runners on base, he had as many strikeouts as walks.
Yeah.
14 walks, 14 strikeouts with runners on base last year. Had their best batting average with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Their best batting average with the bases loaded. The guy puts the bat on the ball, and that's something this team needs more of, not less.
Yeah, and we saw it improve Yoshida from year 1 to year 2. Less ground balls last year. He had, launch angle, hitting the ball on the ground, hitting the ball in the air. It was one of the worst. It was like 3.5 his rookie year. Everything was on the ground. Everything was a roll over to first, roll over to second base. Last year it was like 10.5, 11. Back to almost league average. Hitting more line drives, getting the ball in the air, which is what you want, especially for him. So we saw a better Yoshida now healthy. I think he can be even better than that.
But you've got a really good defensive outfield.
Yeah, you do.
You got Rafaela probably going to play more center field, which means Duran's in left field. Duran played all but 2 games last year. We know he wants to play every day. Abreu won a Gold Glove in right. How do you put him in the outfield?
Well, I think you're going to find some room there, and I think Durant can slide over to center field easily, and I know a lot of people talking about Rafaela, talking about Abreu, and here, my thing is this: don't put restrictions on young kids. All right, they came up last year as rookies. They learned the league while on the job. And, yeah, there's some warts there. But you have to give these guys the benefit of the doubt to come out year 2 and be better. I look at Connor Wong. The guy struck out 33% of the time his first year up here at 235. Last year, that went to 23%, and the average was 280. You have to allow these guys to show that they've adjusted. And so can Rafaela reduce the swing and miss? Right? The chase rate was the worst in baseball. The walk rate was the worst in baseball. But for 4 months in the middle, he hit 300. Bad April, bad September. Give this kid an opportunity to grow. Same thing with Abreu offensively.
Durant had a breakthrough season last year, right? It wound up being MVP of the All-Star game in his first All-Star appearance. Like we said, played almost every game. This is a guy who kind of stepped in with Story out for most of the year. He became part of the leadership group last year. And it's always interesting, right? You bring Alex Bregman in and you say he's a leader. Look at his resume. Well, Durant's building that resume, but he's become a leader on this team. How important is he? I mean, you finally got that leadoff guy that you spent a few years looking for. How important is he? And I think we kind of understate and underplay what he means to this team because you just took him for granted last year because he did it every day.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like he's the guy that makes this offense go. When he starts getting hits and getting on base and you start seeing him run the bases, you feel a different energy in the dugout, right? So it's like as he goes, they go offensively. And quite frankly, I just think this is who he is. A lot of people wondering if he can do it again. What, for the third time? Because, by the way, 2 years ago, he was really good. Last year, like you mentioned, the year he had, everyone's praising his 838 OPS. 2 years ago, it was 828. But just that there was more power. There was more triples. There was just more slug involved in his game. But the improvement on defense was off the charts from year 1 to year 2. And I just think this is kind of who this guy is. He's really important for this offense.
We're watching Kyle Hudson talking to the outfielders. Does such a great job with that outfield group. We were watching some of the drills out back this morning with the young guys, right? With Rafaela, with Roman Anthony. And Roman Anthony on most major league teams would probably be already getting penciled onto the 26-man roster. But it's such a deep outfield. It's such a good outfield. You got Rob Refsnyder, who we know what he does against lefties. It's going to be tough for Roman Anthony to crack this team out of camp.
Yeah, well, I think if you turn the clock back and he was where he is right now, he'd probably be on last year's team. But this year's team's not about development. It's not about letting a kid go out there and learn the game at the big league level. This year's team's about winning. So I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to start the kid down in AAA, get his feet wet. Let's face it, April is not exactly the best time to play baseball. Then when he gets his stroke, then when he gains his confidence, he can knock that door down, prove that he's ready to play at this level. By then, maybe there's an injury. If not, you just create an opening for him because he's been that good.
So you're saying he should spend April in Worcester and Buffalo and Rochester and those, better places to play.
When you put it like that, I don't think he's very excited about that option. I think he'd rather be in Texas.
No doubt about that. Mexico and Texas out of spring training sounds pretty good. We're watching the outfield today, keeping a close eye on it as spring training rolls on. Full workouts with 2 days to go until we play baseball here at JetBlue Park. We'll get the Red Sox against Northeastern. But we continue with 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers right after this. Lucas Giolito back with the Red Sox for his second year. His first year didn't work out as anybody had planned. He had been a durable, healthy pitcher throughout his career, but last year just made 2 spring training starts and then had to shut it down. March 12th, he had the internal brace procedure to fix his UCL and spent the rest of the year rehabbing. This is a guy who for 3 straight years, 2019 through 2021, was in the top 11 in Cy Young votings, and 23 through 184 1/3 innings. He's been healthy. Now he says he's healthy again and ready to be a part of a pitching rotation that has great expectations. I spoke with Giolito this morning.
Yeah, physically really good. Thrown too many bullpens to count now. Live bullpens for me next week and progress from there. So, yeah, right on track, feeling very good.
Back to, closing in on the anniversary, right? And at that point it was Is it going to be the brace? Is it going to be the full thing? When can I get back? All things considered, I know it's a long, tough year, but all things considered, to be here where you are, how good does that feel?
Yeah, it feels very good. Getting back into competition is what I'm most looking forward to. So, I get my first taste of that with the live BPs, and obviously it's a controlled environment, facing our own guys, so you don't want to do too much. But getting more into game speed, and then especially getting these spring training games, I've been missing it big time, so I'm looking forward to it.
You've been so durable, been so healthy through your career. What did last year do to you, and sort of how were you able to use it at all as a positive to learn more about yourself and come into this year?
Yeah, it's hard to think of it as a positive, honestly. I really enjoy playing this game and taking the ball every 5 days. It's what I've been doing for so long. Like you said, I was healthy for the bulk of my big league career. I never really dealt with a major injury. So it kind of put things into perspective. I think there are times throughout my career where I kind of took it for granted, like being able to do this for a living. You do it for so long, and there's times where it does feel like a job. But being on the sidelines all year and watching these guys play, it kind of, I don't know, reinvigorated a bit of appreciation for how cool this job is. And it definitely got me hungry to compete. So yeah, that's the biggest thing to take away, I guess. That and trying to instill some discipline with doing a lot of boring work, because the rehab takes a lot of boring work.
Coming back to a team that bolstered the pitching staff and the team in general, right, with Bregman, but the expectation, coming back to a team that thinks it's going to do something special this year, how fun is that?
Yeah, it's a really good energy in here so far. I think Brez front office did a fantastic job adding, and I know that we appreciate it as players. I'm looking forward to seeing, all the guys that I got to know last year that took really huge steps forward. They're going to come out, ball out, and I think that we have a really good mesh. Team chemistry's kind of off the charts right now. And I think that, we're in a pretty good position.
I'll ask you towards the end here, when you lose a year like that, like you're a guy who'd be tinkering on things, do you lose some of that, or have you had time now in these last couple of months to start getting back to where you'd be with, working on pitches, working on shapes? Can you do much of that in these last few weeks?
Yeah, we've been doing that for probably 2 months now. Yeah, a lot of tinkering and a lot of working, so I'm ready to compete for sure. I'm excited to get back into that.
And you got Hendricks, Giolito, Crochet. You got a little mini White Sox corner over here.
Yeah, what was someone was saying earlier? The Chicago Red Sox, I think, is what we were being referred to as. But yeah, it's always good to be around guys that you've known for a while. I mean, it brings I know that brought a comfort level for Garrett when he got traded over, and being able to come to a spot where some people, and you're going to be able to mesh in a little bit easier. So yeah, I think it's pretty solid. Some talented players from the old days back together again.
He went down last year. That was the last thing you expected. He'd made 29 or more starts in each of the last 5 full seasons, not the COVID year, obviously. It's a guy who has always posted. And like I said, he's always been up there in the Cy Young voting. I think we've forgotten who Lucas Giolito was and what he can do for this team.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you, pitchers, you should always worry about health, right? Because this guy, like you said, one of the most durable guys in the world. We forgot who he was, and he's kind of like a sleeper here in this rotation. This was a guy, you mentioned, Cy Young votes, now it was 3 years straight, punching out 200 guys. And you do wonder if the last year or two there was some struggles, if that elbow was starting to give, right? So this is a guy, the one issue I have with him is there a leash? You know what I mean? But the Red Sox did a nice job with these types of guys. You saw it with James Paxton, and then what he gave you in 2023, the first half was fantastic. They've done it now with Liam Hendricks. We'll see what he looks like. Patrick Sandoval's another one for the future. So if you can come out here, whether it is just go as long as you can, but you know it's going to be hard for him to reach that 180 total after missing an entire season.
2023, he had a mid-3 ERA with Chicago. He was having a really good season. Maybe he got traded to the Angels, and it all went off the rails, right? The home runs, I think he gave 10 home runs up at the end. In the final month of the season, wound up leading the league in home runs allowed. But I've never seen a guy pitching as well as he was pitching suddenly go south after a trade. You got to sort of hope that was the anomaly and you're getting back to who he was before that.
It's always strange when you leave an organization for the first time, and you show up and get traded, and maybe you try to do too much. You're trying to prove to your new teammates who you are, what you can do to help the team win. I don't know what went on there. You mentioned a lot of balls left the yard, but this is a guy that, again, if he can get back to it, I think you welcome with open arms. Again, just a question of their limits.
With the Bregman edition, we've been talking a lot about leadership. Leadership isn't a problem on the pitching side.
Right.
You got guys who have been through it. Giolito has been through it. Walker Buehler through the last pitch of the World Series. Liam Hendricks has been around through ever. Aroldis Chapman. The pitching side has plenty of veteran experience there.
Yeah, and that is important too. It's because we talk about how important it is there. Those conversations that you have out in that bullpen, that you have in the rotation. You see these 5 starters always sitting at the top rail, talking, supporting the other guy. But it's about Walker Buehler talking to some of the righties. They all have different styles, but it doesn't mean that you can't read swings. And we're talking next level stuff as we talk like Alex Bregman bringing, next level information to the hitters. Same thing with these pitchers, reading swings, setting guys up. Why did you go there? He showed you that he wasn't looking for this. He showed you, a lot in his swing and a foul ball. So those conversations are the next level. And you've got some guys in that staff that can have them.
Red Sox add to the experience yesterday. Adam Ottavino is added to the bullpen. It's a minor league deal. He's got to make the team. There's no guarantees. They were surprised they could get him on a non-roster invitee situation. This guy was here in 21. A big part of that bullpen, 60-something appearances when they went to the ALCS that year. He pitched well for them last 3 years from the Mets. What does he do to this team, and can he make this bullpen?
Well, in court talking the other day, he's not afraid to take the ball. He brings swing and miss. We know what he is, right? He's a sweeper monster. Sweeper, little sinker, and a cutter. So the one thing I remember from him was how slow he was to the plate. Guys would run on him. But I think we saw him kind of improve in that category. But this is another arm in that bullpen. I know it's a minor league deal, but I would fully expect, as long as he's healthy, being in that bullpen because the other guys have options. Just an uncomfortable at bat for righties. He's another guy, right, that Whitlock talked about how excited he was to be back here because this is a mentor. This is a guy that talked to some of these relievers. A guy like Greg Weissert, that sinker slider, profile. Another guy coming in, talking information. And again, we've talked about how important it is. There's a ton of talent here, but it's young, it's inexperienced, and bringing another guy like this helps.
You remember he wore a 0. Ottavino beginning with O. He liked having the number 0 in Boston. Well, Walker Buehler's got 0. He will wear 00. So just another controversy going on here at spring training.
It's beautiful. I always miss the Chief. Bring back Robert Parrish. I'm
Robert Parrish should wear a Celtics jersey first time he steps out of the dugout. All right, we'll come back, wrap it up, talking about some of the additions in the offseason and the return of Lucas Giolito. Plenty to talk about as we are now just a couple of days away from baseball at JetBlue Park. It's 3:10 to left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. We wrap it up after this. All right, we've been talking a lot about leadership. We're going to continue that conversation tonight when Trevor Story joins us on Red Sox from Fort Myers, presented by Mass Mutual. Story back healthy and looking to get through the season healthy as the shortstop of the Red Sox. You remember he was injured in Anaheim April 5th last year and spent most of the year recovering from that shoulder injury. Hear what he has to say about the season, the additions. It's all coming your way tonight at 8 o'clock. Hope you can join us then. We're back for one more 3:10 to left tomorrow live on Nessa Nations. Download it wherever you get your podcast. For Lou Maloney and all of us here in Fort Myers, we'll see you again next time.